Hey guys, it's Charlie. It's October the 12th, Monday. And if you and I are going to have a debate, and I get to set the parameters of that debate, then I will never lose it. It's a foregone conclusion that if I set the dynamics of what we're going to talk about, I'm going to set them so that I can't lose. Right? So if we were going to have a debate about about me, is Charlie really great, or is he totally awesome? Those are your parameters. And so what do I care? What do I care? The worst of it, I come out really great. The best of it, I come out awesome. Either way, I win, and I'm happy. Now, that's an extreme example, but the way I see it, that's exactly what we deal with our government right now. We have Max Baucus's bill coming out of Senate Finance, and it's going to be voted on tomorrow. Now, being as it's a 1,000-page piece of legislation, of course any of the people, the representatives, the senators in that committee are not going to read it because they're not going to have time to read it, because I believe as of 5 o'clock it still wasn't all put together. But regardless, it still has to go through that process, and then the Senate, and then reconciliation, and then with the House, and who knows how it's going to end up. But the fact of the matter is, it doesn't matter how it ends up. What does matter is that some piece of garbage legislation is going to get passed. And when that happens, it's going to be more government control over an even larger percentage of the economy. See, when originally, when originally they wanted to get this thing shoved down our throats before the summer recess, if you remember, back a few months ago, that was the plan. Don't read anything. They were on a roll with just shoving legislation down our throat, and they were going to do the same thing with the health care. But it didn't happen, and then the representatives went home and started to take a lot of heat. So they went with tactic number 2, which is we'll just wear the people down, meaning we'll drag it on, we'll talk this, we'll talk it to death, we'll throw it into this committee, that committee, we'll have the House work up and the Senate work up, and by the time it's all done, you end up with a conglomeration of garbage that is written of, by, and for special interest. And that's it. So it doesn't matter. You can say things like public option, or you can say things like forced insurance, picking up people no matter what their preconditions are or pre-existing conditions are. But at the end of the day, you're not going to have any real change in big pharma, in big insurance, or in trial lawyers, because all of them line the pockets of these slicksters who are in D.C., and they're not going to screw up the money train. So, when it's all said and done, the vast middle class, who's being already under assault, under attack, is going to be further under assault and under attack. And at the end of the day, we're just going to end up with worse health care because of it. We're at a point in my thinking that I can't even conceive how we can possibly come out of this other than a total dollar crisis, total empire America implosion, maybe not unlike the Soviet Union had. And it bothers me to say that I think my country has to come apart in order to be put back together. But at every turn, we're being our liberties are being usurped, and we're being subjected to taxation without representation. The will of the people does not matter. And look at what's happened in the last year. We're spending $1.4 trillion in deficit last year. We're paying $2 trillion in income tax just to pay interest to banksters that have created an abortion of an economy, pardon my language. But, how can this possibly be fixed by changing 20 seats in the House or 10 seats in the Senate come the next election cycle? The ticks are too well entrenched in the hide of the dog that is the economy of this country. And, the dog has to die before the ticks are going to leave. And I hate to say that, but I don't see a cure to this problem other than these parasites. The blood is cut off from them, and they wither and die of starvation. And I think the true American spirit, the true American middle class, who doesn't live with $8,000 suits and a limo ride to work every day, is far better equipped to handle 5 years, 10 years of suffering, especially if it means at the end of it we end up with a true representative republic again, rather than this special interest, pork-laden, greed-filled version of capitalism that is not capitalism. And that's one of the shames of where we're at right now, is we're almost to the point in America of people calling for an end to capitalism. They're selling that really hard right now. You see Michael Moore's film come out, and you see the far left preaching the advantages of a more socialist type economic system, when the fact is it isn't capitalism that has failed. We've been criminally hijacked by a bunch of oligarch bankers, and that's what's failed this country. We've allowed them, we've closed our eyes and allowed them to take over our system, and now here we are. We're on the verge of absolute collapse. And as this crisis continues, the more I say, bring it on, because I would much rather go through a decade of suffering and know that I've probably lived the highest standard of living that I'm going to live, if it means that at the end of it, I can give a representative republic back to my son. So, at any rate, that's all I got.